Well, welcome. Today is day 11 on our 90-day journey in 4Q Boundaries Basic Fundamentals course. And today we'll be working on the lesson 2, which is a skill builder, since this is day 12. In fact, we have one more skill builder for this week, and then we'll be moving on to the challenge. So the theme I want to talk about today is actually a really interesting one. So today was the last day that I was TAing a class. So teacher's assistants of a class. And it's on craniosacral therapy. Everybody in the office, or everybody in all the students are all professionals. They all have they all have jobs. They're all working. And most of them are either touch specialists or they work in the mental industry. And what I find fascinating is it's still a new skill. And when people showed up, they didn't have all the information. They didn't know how things worked. They started with uncertainty. And then they progressively went through, it's like, am I doing it right? Am I doing it right? Asking questions. And then today, which was the final day for them, it was really fun to watch how they progressed to this new level of awareness, of taking everything they learned in a 4-day intensive and then building their toolbox, so to speak, for them to use these skills in their everyday life. And what I find fascinating about this is that this is sort of the learning curve. This is what we all do. And this is also the journey within 4Q Boundaries. 4Q Boundaries is a experiential experience. It's all about you learning how to tap into the sensations that occur 24/7 in your body and learning to become more conscious to those layers within you and recognize that they communicate differently. The physical body communicates differently than the emotional body. The emotional body communicates differently than the mental body. The mental body communicates differently than the spiritual body. And if you want to understand more about how those work, just go to 4Q Boundaries, and there's a tab that says, I think it says, how does it work? You can see it on the front page, and it actually goes into much more depths of sort of having a better understanding what these 4 bodies and their boundaries are. So that's not the context of what this video is about. However, it is, because it's all about trust. It's all about a relationship. And it's really about a relationship within yourself. How do you trust what you're experiencing? Especially when what you're experiencing may be different than what other people are experiencing around you. You could have 2 people in the same room and they're experiencing the room in a very different way. And part of that is a lot of people that go, well, I understand that. So it's a mental thing. So great, you understand that on a mental level. But what does it feel like? Can you notice how your body feels in that environment? Can you notice how your emotions may be interacting in this environment? And so part of that is a lot of times we'll look for other people so am I doing it right? Can you tell me if I'm doing it wrong? We're looking for a really outside stimulus to correct us. And that's normal because that's sort of an evolutionary process. To get fed, you sort of have to make sure mom claims you as a baby. Mom goes, who is this kid? She may not feed you. And that's, evolution. So it's one of those things where instinctually, we're sort of wired in to sort of make sure that we're a part of the group, so that way we get fed, we get sheltered, we're protected. It's a safe, it turns it into a safe environment. And it may not be safe. It just means that it's an environment that you survive in. And, most of the time there's hierarchies, things like that, so. And so within the 4Q boundaries framework, as we're starting to recognize these patterns that are ingrained in us, that could be generational patterns, that could be part of our DNA. There's also, patterns from the physical body that comes from history. There could be an emotional component that's very different than the physical component. So, the mental side, the spiritual side, they all have their own histories in how they influence who you are. And so part of what I noticed for me is that, and this is where I like to work with the level of enthusiasm, sort of that curiosity level. It's coming as a child, so to speak, it's like, well, how does that work? Why does that work that way? And recognizing that you're learning based on how you perceive things versus somebody's definition of what it is. And that's hard, because you have to trust what you're experiencing, and then you'll start noticing patterns, and then next thing you know, you may go, oh, that pattern I remember from this pattern, which, wow, it reminds me of when this happened when I was a certain age. And next thing you know, you start learning this history of how you might have been guarding a wound that happened at a very young age. And next thing you know, you're like, wow, look at all the ways I've compensated for that initial wound. And then guess what? You're able to release that stuff. But it takes time, because guess what? It's sort of this type of work, just like with anything, I always like to tell people it's like an onion. You have this core experience. And this core experience, if you don't get rid of it, then what happens is you create compensation patterns to protect you from experiencing it again, which then shapes your behavior, physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual ways. And then what happens is something else, some other new life experience comes in, and then guess what? You're again protecting it, and it shapes how you react again. And so what happens is over time is we start building this layers of, basically it's an onion layer of ways of protecting you from that initial core experience. But then now you're also protecting yourself from the other layers. And then, if the thing gets too big, then you can get really overwhelmed because you're protecting yourself from everything. And then it's like, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed. How do I deal with this? And it's baby steps. It's recognizing that it takes time to clear these layers out so that way you can get to the core. And when people say, well, how long will it take? It's like, I don't know. It depends on how much effort you put into not dealing with this thing. But it's also realizing is that with all this life experience, that's compounded to protect yourself, your personality was developed. So sometimes I'll hear people, it's like, I just wish I could get rid of all this stuff all at once so I can get to that core issue that's been really affecting me greatly. It's like, yeah, but if you got rid of all that life experience, all those protections, all those ways of guarding yourself or acting in certain ways, maybe not even guarding, maybe, it all depends on what it is you're trying to protect yourself from. But if you got rid of that all at once, you wouldn't be you. And who knows who you would be, because guess what? The way you see yourself today, who you are today, is based on your history. And so that's why this is a process. This is why, I talk about really meditating on a daily basis. This is why this is why I'm doing the 90-day challenge. It's not just for you, but it's also for me. It's just that it's that constant reminder that it's a really good thing to meditate, It's a really good thing to focus on yourself and recognize, well, what is impacting me today? And that's sort of what I had a lot of fun with today, was that as I was watching all these students and recognizing their progression from day one, 4 days ago, to today, and really saw their changes, it also validates like we can change quickly, but also know it's still a journey. And then I can also reflect upon myself and go, wow, look at the things that I'm experiencing. How am I noticing certain little glitches or certain thought processes in my head? And then guess what? I could use tools, 4Q boundaries, the audios, to help me start to unwind these patterns. Because like yesterday, yesterday's video, we talked a little bit about some of the stuff that I was experiencing. And then today I was noticing something very similar. I was still noticing this judgment that was in my space that had nothing to do with anybody else. Part of it is I was watching the students and I was noticing their progression, but they're still working on uncertainty. And then I was looking at myself and I was noticing, wow, look at that. There's certain parts of me where I have that same experience that they're having. And even though I'm the TA that's there to support them, but I'm also there as a person learning how to unwind myself so that way I have more freedom to express myself. And so, in fact, it was really fascinating because after the class was done, I was feeling really good. In fact, I've been feeling great all day. I went out to get something to eat, and I was in line to get some food. And next I just felt all this anger in my body. And then the back of my head just froze up and it went up my back, up my head, like to the middle of my head. It just completely froze. And I was like going, what the heck was that? I'm like going, I'm in a great space. But next thing you know, I just experienced this energy. And I didn't go look for causation. I didn't go, okay, well, is this somebody's energy around me, or did somebody throw energy at me? Or, I didn't care. I just noticed that my body was experiencing this anger just out of nowhere, because there wasn't, the line wasn't long. There was no reason to be angry, but my body experienced it. And so the first thing I did was like, wow, that hurt, especially with back of the head. It really hurt. And I felt that energy, and I was like, ooh, ground. First thing I did was ground. And then from there, it's like, oh, wow, okay, energy got in my space. Reclaim your energy. Fill yourself up. Fill up these areas that, something got in. Who knows what it was? Who cares? It's just called release. Let it go. And then next, it was gone. It's like, okay. So part of what I'm trying to say is guess what? This stuff happens all the time. This is energy work. It's just a matter of how long do you get stuck in and stuff, and how long do you want to stay stuck in stuff, or do you want to keep moving through energy, moving through areas, life experience that has kept you stuck, and saying, you know what, I want to get to the core of these things, so that way I can have more freedom to express myself in my unique way. Because your expression of yourself is unique. It's your way of expressing. It's nobody else's. So anyways, that's sort of my little lecture today. Sort of a check-in. Like I said, I got up really early this morning because class started early. Was feeling good. It was, like I said, a great day of watching people. I had a good evening. The whole day was, I had fun. So tonight I'm going to continue working on that theme for myself of just clearing out that invalidation, that energy that doesn't want me to speak my truth, and to clear out the energy that tells me to dim my light. And that's what I'm going to work on today, because that was sort of some of the themes I was still working on throughout the day today. So whatever you would like to work on as you're reclaiming your energy, you could totally set the theme for yourself. Nothing wrong with that. So anyways, I will see you on the other side. Take care. Well, welcome to the section where we're going to do a little meditation. So this is a sample Decided we'll look at the red spectrum since that's what I was meditating on today. And I decided we're going to meditate at maroon. So enjoy. Let's reclaim your energy at a maroon vibration. I'd like you to create a bubble in front of you. And I'd like you to call your energy back at a maroon vibration. Call your energy out of the past and the future. Call your energy out of places and people and events. Any place where you may have left your energy behind. As you're reclaiming your energy at this maroon vibration, I'd like you to notice, how does your body respond? What are you noticing physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually as you're reclaiming your energy? And let's take this bubble of your energy at this maroon vibration and bring it above your head. Poke a hole into the bottom of this bubble and allow your energy at this maroon vibration to come into your body and saturating every cell within your body. Watch this maroon energy come into your head and your neck. Watch it go into your shoulders and your arms and your hands. Watch this maroon energy as it flows into your chest, in your hips, in your legs, and your feet. And as your body is absorbing your energy at this maroon vibration, I'd like you to be aware of your grounding. Notice that attachment to the base of your spine in the center of the planet. Be aware of that release. And as your body is absorbing your energy, notice that it's also releasing foreign energy out of your body, down your grounding. Let's create another bubble in front of you. Continue to call your energy back at this maroon vibration. Continue to be aware of, how does your body respond as you're calling your energy back at this maroon vibration. And bring this bubble above your head and allow your energy to continue to flow into your body. Allow your energy to swirl around your body at this maroon vibration. Allow your grounding cord to still be on release as it's releasing foreign energy out of your body. Let's create another bubble in front of you and continue to call your energy back at this maroon vibration. Feel your hands expand as you're calling your energy back. Bring this bubble above your head and continue to allow your energy at this maroon vibration to fill up every cell of your body. Allow your body to continue to release as you're saturating, as you're vibrating with all of you within you. And notice, what are you experiencing? Physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. Well, I'm back. I just finished listening to the meditation, and I decided to listen to the red spectrum of colors of Reclaim My Energy. It just felt like the right color to listen to. And you know what? I always say the same thing because I'm always just amazed with how it feels to begin a meditation, just what am I experiencing? And then next thing you know, just progressively clear things out, gain clarity. Again, I was fully present the whole time. At the very beginning, it was weird. It was almost like when I started, I was noticing these cubes. Don't ask me what it was because I didn't care, but it was when I was listening to because the first color is red. And when I was listening to the red, everything was in this cube type form. And it was very weird. And when I was noticing that, it's like, this is odd. I just kept putting it down my grounding cord, not a problem, and just reclaim my energy and, just kept filling myself up. But, from there, it was just, it was a little surreal. And then it grounded, and it started changing. And then I started noticing students, conversations. I just remember seeing several different people's faces. And it's like, okay, let's put them down my grounding cord. The other thing, which is really nice about this stuff too, is that because I actually went through and said hi to the whole class and then where we were at, and called my energy out of the building, reclaimed my energy from everybody. I also gave everybody their energy. So wherever I might have picked up their energy, I really was deliberate in making separations so that way I could let everybody have their energy as well. So it was definitely, clearing out, letting people go. I didn't quite do a full 2 cycles. I stopped in the last one. I just felt like it. It's like it just felt like everything was complete, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm done. I have this. At the end, though, it was really fascinating because I was like going, oh, I can't wait for the challenge day. I'm not sure how long I'm going to be doing this, but it's just reclaiming my energy is just so much fun. So I was noticing that in my space as I was doing that too at the very end. I was like, huh, interesting. That's not today, sort of, anticipating the future. But I just laughed and said, whatever. But yeah, it was a great day. It's like, I think I'm going to have a good sleep tonight. Just, I feel centered, feel grounded. No complaints whatsoever. So anyways, have a fabulous morning, afternoon, evening, nighttime, whenever you're watching this video. And I will see you tomorrow on day 13. So take care.